Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard, and that kind of killed it along with the silver too.
Right.
So temporarily took us off the gold standard. My but he temporarily took us off the gold standard.
Yeah.
Now I'm fired up.
Yeah, I'm fired up too, because I think we never really went off the gold standard or the silver standard. Do you see it's inevitable that the price of silver and gold are heading higher? We got some disturbing news today. U.S. consumer debt, $17 trillion. That's a new record. And that's nothing when you compare that to corporate debt, government debt. But the bottom line for silver and gold is the more debt, the more make-believe money that's out there, the more the US dollar dilutes and the higher the price of silver and gold go. Today, we have our special guest, Coin Shop Chris, joining us again. I wanted to run through this latest data, get his thoughts on what's going on, because people are running out of money, literally. Wait till you hear this. Chris, welcome to Ron's Basement.
Ron, it's always a pleasure to be back in the basement.
Well, you're a beacon of hope, and I know that the viewers appreciate you being here, Chris.
Well, and I appreciate them all watching.
Yeah. So what do you think when you hear 17 trillion? That's consumer debt, and it gets even better, Chris. I've got some data I want to share with you from this CNBC article. But when you hear record debt, 17 trillion, I think that's 3 trillion higher than when the health crisis broke out in 2020. Any thoughts on all this consumer debt alone that's floating around out there in the economy?
Well, Ron, people are living off their credit cards. They're doing these buy now, just pay later. I don't want to call them schemes, but you buy it now, you pay a higher interest rate, and that's how people are surviving. It's really, it's sad. People losing their jobs, and people have to resort to trying to keep the roof over their heads.
Yeah, living off their credit cards. And it gets even more astounding when you hear that credit card interest rates are at near record highs as well. So you've got a record amount of credit card debt that is being charged record high interest rates. It seems like a situation that could spiral out of control.
I mean, I don't know how anybody can afford 25, 30+% on a credit card. And that just snowballs, because that's just a recruiting interest month after month. It's not a fixed rate.
Yeah, and it's interesting to point out as well that normal everyday people, they're not like the government. They can't just raise their debt ceiling, right? At some point, the banks say, no more, sorry, your ride is over. We want our money back.
Exactly, but how are they going to get it back when people are living in campers? I'm hearing stories in California. People are living on the side of the highway in the medium in the campers.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really sad. I mean, it's not safe. It's not sanitary. We should be taking care of our own people, Ron, instead of trying to help every other country in the world.
Yep.
But this is what happens with our government. We want to hand out to everybody else, but we can't take care of our own people. We can't take care of our own veterans that serve this country. They get pushed off to the side, and it's sad.
It is. It's a sad situation right now. And what's interesting about that debt figure, that 17 trillion, is that the component of that was new mortgage originations totaled just $323 billion. That was the second lowest level since the second quarter of 2014. So what that means is this wasn't a bunch of mortgage debt or refinancing of mortgage debt. This literally is people living off their credit cards, which is scary.
Very scary. I mean, we talked about this off camera a few weeks ago, Ron. How often do we actually see people when we go shopping in the store, actually paying with cash.
Yep.
I mean, or some old lady still writes checks maybe once in a great blue moon. Because, a lot of the older generation does not want to deal with credit cards. They use cash or they use a checkbook still.
Yep.
But when we go into this digital currency, that's all going to stop.
Yeah, it's a scary situation. And, another thing to consider is we're kind of moving into a period where a lot of people see some economic challenges ahead of us, just at the same time that people are digging themselves into these massive debt holes. And, heck, people were refinancing their mortgages 2-3 years ago at like less than 3% and saving themselves a lot of money. It was like a boom for the economy. Now they're saying all of that is gone, but the debt levels still remain, right? All this, debt to me is similar to printing money, derivatives, however you want to say it. It in the end, the more debt that's created, it feels like it's going to dilute the currency further. It's going to present some real economic challenges, and it can only be a positive supportive factor for the silver price and gold price.
Absolutely. I mean, are we going to see a reset? We talked about this, I think, the last video at some level of this. Are we going to see a reset overnight? And we might see gold, silver overnight. I'll repeat it again for everybody, 25%. And I'd like to take this opportunity to let everybody know, please like, share, and subscribe. Ron's goal is to get to 50,000 subscribers by the end of next February of 2024. Let's help Ron out. Ron's a good channel. Let's help him out. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we appreciate your input, Chris. You provide a great service to my viewers with your original insight on a lot of these issues, and obviously you're well connected within the gold and silver bullion arena. It's just, when I hear about all this debt, I mean, we're not even talking about government debt, right? That's another $32 trillion on top of that. We're not even talking about corporate debt.
First Mining Gold is a development company advancing two of the largest gold projects in Canada. Springpole in Ontario and Duparquet, located in Quebec, each already has 5 million ounces of gold reserves, but exploration initiatives are underway at both projects to find even more gold. First Mining is well-financed, has zero debt, and owns an interest in 4 additional Canadian gold development projects.
All of this is moving into this environment after these record pace of interest rate hikes. What rates went up by 5% over the last year or so. And all that government debt needs to be refinanced, like a huge portion of it, right? That's going to cost the government billions, trillions of more dollars. A lot of small companies, small, mid-sized companies, big companies, they've got to roll over their debt as well. Their interest rates are likely going to double in a lot of circumstances. Individuals, right? Families that are racking up all this credit card debt, and we've got record rates on the credit. I mean, it just feels like credit is contracting. The amount of money out there is contracting. It's scary. And again, to me, when I kind of, I don't know how you feel about this, when I try to process everything that's going on out there, it feels like, the answer I keep coming to is precious metals. Because one thing we know for sure, they've seen all types of different similar scenarios, right? I mean, things are different, but they're not different. They've seen all these scenarios, and silver and gold have always performed well, always held their value over long periods of time.
And again, but the recent 100 years or so, it's been priced in dollars, though. Now we have to get out of thinking silver is worth what, $25 an ounce right now. Probably a little bit cheap, and I'm not looking at the silver gold price right now. It's gold's around $2,000 in ounce, but we're pricing it in dollars. We can't keep doing that. We got to get our brains out of oh, this is worth this. This is no, this is an ounce of gold. This is an ounce of silver. What are you gonna want to trade for that in return?
Right, right. Maybe
I mean,
maybe
that's where
price. Maybe I remember how you and I met the old heads of lettuce. Chris was sending me pictures of heads of lettuce at the grocery store for $5 each, and this is when we first became friends. And I would email him back and joke and say, I don't feel real good about trading an ounce of silver for 5 heads of lettuce, right? But you can think of silver in terms of loaves of bread or lettuce. That's okay. Maybe I'd be willing to trade an ounce of silver for 1,000 heads of lettuce.
well,
But
just go back to pre-64 run. I mean, 64 and this before. We were using, maybe not you and me, because we may be a little bit too young for this. From 64 and before, we were using silver as payment in our change. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. My grandma's 87 years old. She remembers, going to the candy store and getting a candy bar for a nickel, and she would give she would give a dime. That was a silver dime, and she would get a nickel back. Maybe she got just 2 candy bars. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, and as you said on your last live stream, or maybe 2 live streams ago, Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard, and that kind of killed it along with the silver too.
right,
So,
right.
temporarily took us off the gold standard. My butt, he temporarily took us off the gold standard.
Yeah,
now I'm fired up.
Yeah, I'm fired up too, because I think we never really went off the gold standard or the silver standard. They may have tricked us into thinking we were off of it, but does that make sense to you at all? But like, really, still, gold and silver are valuable. How can we be off the gold standard now when the world central banks are buying a record amount of gold, right? That doesn't make sense to me. Well, I would put forth the argument, yeah, sure, they told you were off the gold standard, but really, gold and silver didn't go anywhere. They didn't go anywhere.
I mean, like we talked about before, would you work for silver or gold if someone
Oh
offered
yeah,
you it?
sure.
Of course, I would
Yeah,
take it all damn day long.
yeah. Well,
I
you
mean, I
talked.
would take it all
Go
day
ahead.
long, Ron.
I know you would. Well, I know, and you talked about your grandma going to the dime store and buying her candy. I know now with you that, like, when you go to buy candy bars, you always like to tell me about how you like to use your Bitcoin when you go buy.
Yeah, you know where you can put that Bitcoin. I don't know if you could put it anywhere because you can't hold on to it. But I mean, my grandmother grew up very, very poor, and I remember she telling me stories. After school, she would go around collecting cardboard for 40 cents, 30 cents, take the cardboard to the recycling center and get maybe four dimes to have food for the dinner table, and she got paid in silver for doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, we really need to get back to the silver and gold standard, and I don't know if we're ever gonna get there on. With the dollar collapses, I guess we're gonna have to, people who have silver and gold, and maybe even platinum. I'll use platinum for Neo. I can see platinum coming into play with this.
Yeah.
I think Neo Hans Dynasty. If you want to check his channel out, everybody. He really got into it the other night when on his live stream. Should be a replay of it. It's about 2 hours long, but it's worth the watch. It really is.
Yeah, platinum's fascinating metal right now.
Then we have the Fed trying to make a $1 trillion platinum coin. Figure that one out.
Yeah, I don't know how long or how much traction that'll get. That seems to get brought up every time we run into the debt ceiling. I think the one thing we know for sure, whether we're talking about government debt, consumer debt, corporate debt, all this debt, it sure feels like we're in a debt bubble. Would you say that's accurate, Chris?
Absolutely. I'll take this for another fact. Look at Venezuela. And I mean, you take an ounce of silver. The information out there. Don't take this my word. Just look it up. An ounce of silver could get you in Venezuela today, because it's very, very rare in that country to have silver, can get you a nice hotel room for a month for 3 people. Can buy
Wow.
4 people food for a month. They're flaking off gold things to get a haircut or to pay for their food at the grocery store there. They're just grinding it off, weighting it up. Okay, if you don't think this can't, if it happens there, it can happen here. People can get scales very quickly here. People can get electronic devices, the Sigma machines to test gold and silver here very, very quickly to get them into every store.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting, because with all this crazy debt out there, right, and very little, I mean, there's the debt level, I think, in the world now is $300 trillion, and that doesn't even count the future obligations of the United States and other countries for pensions and social programs and whatnot. There's really, I hear the top minds, the smartest people, the Ray Dalios and Jeffrey Gundlach, so there's no way this could ever all get paid off. But everybody expects that they're going to get paid off. So the only way for that to work is through dilution of the currency. And, we have to go back and remember, officially the US dollar's off the gold standard, the silver standard. It's real easy for it to be further diluted. And that's definitely the path of least resistance. But that path leads to the value of our silver, our gold, people that have pulled their head out of the sand and educated themselves. It creates an optimistic outlook for those people. Chris, thank you for joining me. Everybody.
Thank you, Ron. I'd like to say one more thing, though.
Yep.
This is why I come on with you, Ron, because I think you are well spoken. Maybe not me so much, but you are, sir.
You're well spoken.
You really do a good job to help everybody out, and I really respect you. And I try to come on and to help more people get their head out of their sand. And we can only do what we can do. I just ask again, everybody like, share, and subscribe this. And comment on one. If you can help somebody out in the comments with a question they have, please feel free to answer their question. We are a small group of people, and we really need to help each other out.
That's a great point, Chris. And we are a group. Everybody who's with us right now, you're part of the group. Congratulations. And if right now you give this video a thumbs up, go ahead and do it. I'm going to ring the bell. Is that okay with you, Chris, if I ring the bell for him?
Absolutely. Ring it 50,000 times.
We'll do a double ringer. Thank you for giving it a thumbs up. Thanks for being here. Thanks to Coin Shop Chris for his ongoing generosity on many levels with this channel. And on behalf of all the viewers, Chris, thank you.
And I thank you, and thank you all your viewers too, Ron, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.